Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a request for a deep dive into a specific spot, Camden State Park in southwest Minnesota.
Right. And our listener, the learner, wants that quick, thorough knowledge, loves different viewpoints, those aha moments.
Exactly. Without feeling totally overwhelmed, just curious about this park, its stories.
And we've gathered quite a bit, haven't we? Info from Minnesota Seasons, maps, visitor tips.
Yeah, even the DNR fishing regulations. So our mission really is to pull out the most interesting bits about Camden State Park for you.
Not just a list, but weaving it together, so you get a feel for what makes the place tick.
Precisely. We'll hit the history, the highlights, the little details that bring it to life. Think of it as your fast track to knowing Camden State Park. Maybe a few surprises, too.
Sounds good. Where do we start? Location.
Yeah, let's get our bearings.
Yeah.
So Camden State Park, it's in Lyon County. That's southwest Minnesota.
Okay.
It's a decent size, 2,247 statutory acres lifted, but the state owns about 1,877. Sometimes there's a difference there, like private land inside or easements.
Right, that happens. Important distinction sometimes.
And if you're planning to go, the address is 1897 Camden Park Road, Lind, Minnesota. We've got GPS coordinates too, but the address should do it.
N4421.352, W9555.189 for those who like the numbers.
Right. And it's open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, standard park hours mostly.
And fees.
Yep, $7 for a daily permit, or you can get an annual one for $35. And they definitely have maps available there. Always grab a map.
Good advice. Being in Lyon County, southwest part of the state, that tells you something about the landscape, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, it's kind of a transition zone. You've got the tall grass prairie further west, more woods as you go east, so you'd expect to see a mix right there in the park.
Okay. Prairie and woods. Interesting.
Yeah. And those hours, 8 to 10, pretty typical. Gives people access, but also time for, upkeep and letting nature rest.
Yeah. Something I always wonder about with these places is the backstory. Like, how did this piece of land become a state park?
Mm-hmm.
What pushed it? Who are the key people? The origin story.
That's a great question. The why and how often reveal a lot about, what people valued back then.
So do we know for Camden?
Our sources this time, they don't actually dig into that specific history. The founding story, the people involved, it's not detailed here.
Okay. That's a bit of a shame. Those local stories can be fascinating.
They really can. But even without that piece, we can definitely explore what makes Camden special now, its natural features.
Right, like the Redwood River flows right through the park. Seems pretty central.
Oh, absolutely. Rivers like that, they're often the backbone of a place. They carve the land, create habitats.
Yeah, you can picture that. And they're often important historically, too, aren't they?
Definitely. For travel, settlement, resources,
Right.
Rivers are key.
And you mentioned that landscape mix, prairie and woods. The sources list a ton of plants. It sounds really biodiverse.
It does suggest that the plant list is extensive.
Any standouts, like native plants that really represent that prairie-woodland blend?
Well, they mention American bittersweet. That's a native vine. Gives great fall color with its berries. Good for birds, too.
Okay.
And lead plant. That's a classic prairie shrub. Really tough, deep roots for dry conditions. Great for pollinators. Seeing those really points to that mix of ecosystems.
So real indicators of the environment there.
Exactly. But interestingly, the list also includes some non-natives. Russian olive, garlic mustard.
The invasive species problem. A constant battle in natural areas.
It really is. Russian olive can provide some cover, but it often pushes out native plants.
Yeah.
And garlic mustard. That one's tough in woodlands. It actually changes the soil chemistry.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it makes it harder for native wildflowers to grow. It really messes with the ecosystem balance.
Just highlights how important careful management is in these parks. Okay, let's look at the map again. Trails. Lots of trails, it seems.
Yes, seems like a big draw. Almost 16 miles just for hiking.
15.8 miles, yeah. Different options, I assume.
Looks like it. Plus separate winter hiking trails, which is nice for year-round access. And biking.
Yep. A paved bike trail. Good for maybe a more casual ride. Families, perhaps.
Probably. And what's quite interesting is they also have designated trails for mountain biking and horseback riding.
Oh, okay. So they cater to different groups. That's good planning.
It really is. Shows they're aiming for multi-use recreation.
And facilities. What's available beyond the trails?
Well, it's pretty comprehensive. You've got your visitor station, a trail center. Always good starting points.
Right. Get oriented. Grab that map.
Exactly. Plenty of parking marked. A picnic area, naturally. And a swimming beach.
Swimming beach.
Yeah.
So there's a lake or pond suitable for swimming?
Must be. It implies a decent spot to cool off. Probably Broner Lake, which is marked on the map too.
Ah, okay, Broner Lake. We'll come back to that. What else? Fishing pier.
Yep. Fishing pier, playground for kids, canoe access so you can get on the water that way.
Practical stuff too. Restrooms.
Oh, yeah. Public phone listed. Campground looks like an upper and lower section. Even a guest house, the Redwood Lodge.
Guest house. Interesting.
And for the horse riders, besides the trails, there's an equestrian campground and an unloading area specifically for horses.
They've really thought about the equestrian users.
Seems like it.
Mhm.
Plus the usuals. Sanitation station, restrooms with showers, some primitive toilets dotted around, and drinking water access. Pretty well equipped.
It really sounds like it covers a lot of bases for different visitors, whether you're there for a day or camping out.
Yeah, the variety of facilities suggests it's definitely a destination, not just a quick stop.
You mentioned Broner Lake. It looks fairly prominent on the map.
Mm.
And with the swimming beach and canoe access, it sounds like the main water spot.
That seems like a safe bet. Our sources don't give, dimensions or depth charts for it,
Right.
but having a designated swimming beach and canoe access, that strongly points to it being the go-to lake for those activities in the park. It's likely big enough and considered safe for swimming and paddling.
Makes sense. Okay, so besides hiking and biking, which seem obvious, what else can you do there? What are the other activities?
Well, we mentioned the horseback riding already with those dedicated trails. Big draw for some.
Right.
Picnicking, obviously, with the designated area. Camping with those 2 campgrounds. Backpacking is listed, too, for a bit more adventure.
Backpacking. Interesting. Deeper into the park, maybe?
Could be. And here's a surprising one. Rock climbing and bouldering.
Really?
Hmm.
In a Minnesota state park, that is unexpected, especially southwest Minnesota.
Yeah. It suggests some unique rock formations there. Definitely adds an adventurous element.
Very cool. What else?
Swimming, as we said, likely in Broner Lake. Canoeing there, too,
Mhm.
for nature lovers, birding, and they even have a bird checklist available.
Oh, a checklist is always a good sign for birders. Hints at good diversity.
Exactly. Nature photography, of course, with the scenery. Geocaching for that treasure hunt feel.
Geocaching. Popular activity.
And then when winter rolls around, it doesn't shut down. You've got cross-country skiing, skate skiing, snowshoeing,
So plenty of winter options.
and even snowmobiling, but only on designated trails. They specify unloading in the South Picnic parking lot for that.
Good to know the specifics. It really sounds like a year-round park then.
Pretty much. And those visitor tips on the map, good reminders.
Yeah. Like what?
Basic preparedness, sunscreen, bug spray, especially tick repellent,
Oh yeah, ticks are always a concern.
and extra water, essential, especially in summer out there.
Good practical advice.
And crucially, that tip about cleaning your boat to stop the spread of invasive species.
Yes. That ties into the DNR regs too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Super important point for anyone using the water.
Absolutely vital for protecting Minnesota's waters.
So, thinking about the ecosystem, what kind of wildlife might you actually see if you're walking around Camden? Our sources give broad categories for the state.
Right, we don't have a Camden-specific checklist from these documents beyond mention of a bird list existing.
But based on the habitat, that prairie woodland mix along the river.
You'd expect a fair range. Amphibians near the water, definitely birds. The checklist confirms that's a focus. Lots of insects, naturally. Mammals typical of that region. Deer, raccoons, squirrels, maybe foxes or coyotes.
Standard Minnesota fauna.
Pretty much. And reptiles. The plains garter snake gets a mention in the broader context, so likely other snakes and turtles too. It paints a picture of a living, breathing ecosystem.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk fishing. We saw that fishing pier on the map on the Redwood River. Good spot for anglers.
The fact that they built a pier suggests it is, yeah. Piers usually offer good access, often in spots known to hold fish. Makes it easier for folks.
And because it's a state park, the usual Minnesota fishing rules apply, right? Like needing a license.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone 16 or older generally needs a valid Minnesota fishing license to fish any public water, unless you fall under a specific exemption, but most people need one.
Standard DNR regulations. Always best to check the latest rulebook for specifics on the Redwood River or Broner Lake, just in case.
Always a good idea. Regulations can change.
Now, back to that boat cleaning point. The DNR regulations talk a lot about aquatic invasive species, AIS.
They do. It's a major focus. They list things like zebra and quagga mussels, spiny water flea, Eurasian water milfoil. Serious threats.
Yeah, those names pop up everywhere now.
And the rules are clear. It's the law. You must clean visible plants, mud, invasives off your boat, trailer, equipment before leaving any water access.
So right there at the boat ramp, basically.
Yep. And drain all water. Bilge, live wells, bait containers. Pull the plug, dispose of unwanted bait in the trash, never release it.
Not even worms.
Not even worms. They specifically mention earthworms aren't native and can harm forests, so no releasing them either.
Wow, okay. Comprehensive. What about that wait 21 days thing?
Ah, right. That's more for docks and lifts if you're moving them between lakes. Drying them out for 21 days helps kill off attached AIS like zebra mussels, a key prevention step.
Gotcha. So the cleaning and draining applies every time you leave the water access with a boat or equipment.
Every single time. It's critical responsibility for boaters.
The regulations also mention trespass laws. Just a reminder to respect private property.
Yeah, basic outdoor ethics, but important. Know where you are, stay off posted land or agricultural land unless you have permission. Landowners have rights, and there are rules about how land needs to be posted.
Good reminder for exploring anywhere, really.
Definitely.
And finally, though we've focused on warmer weather, the DNR regs do cover ice fishing stuff too. Dark, house spearing, shelter licenses.
Right. So if you were thinking of a winter trip to Camden and maybe trying some ice fishing on the river or lake.
Assuming it's allowed and safe, of course.
Yeah.
Always check ice thickness.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are specific rules for winter fishing activities too. Good to know the DNR covers all seasons.
Okay, so let's sort of wrap our heads around this. Camden State Park. It's not just, some woods by a river. It's this blend of prairie and woodland.
Shaped by the Redwood River running through it.
Right. And it offers a surprising amount of stuff to do. Hiking, sure, but also rock climbing, horseback riding, year-round activities.
And all within this context of needing to be mindful of the environment, like with the invasive species rules, and a history that, well, we know it's there, even if we don't have all the details today.
Yeah. It connects to the bigger picture, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Protected areas like this give us places to recreate, sure, but they also protect biodiversity, especially in these transition zones. They're vital links to nature.
Absolutely.
So here's where it gets really interesting. Think about walking those trails. You can actually feel that shift from open prairie sun to the shade of the woods.
Picture the river, always there, carving the landscape.
And think about the history layered there. Not just the geology, but the human stories too, the ones we haven't uncovered yet.
So this makes us wonder, and maybe makes you wonder, what part of Camden grabs you? Is it the adventure side, the climbing?
Or maybe the quiet, like canoeing on Broner Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Or just hiking, spotting birds.
This deep dive, it really just opens the door, doesn't it? What stands out most to you about Camden State Park?
What questions do you still have? Maybe about specific birds, or what happened before it was a park. We'd encourage you, dig deeper yourself. Check out the DNR site, Minnesota Seasons.
There's always more to learn.
And here's something to think about. That balance. Enjoying these amazing natural places like Camden.
But also taking responsibility for protecting them. That whole invasive species discussion is a perfect example.
Exactly. It makes you think, what small things can each of us do, to make sure places like this thrive for the next learner, the next explorer?
That's a great thought to leave with. Our individual actions really do add up.